Deep in the heart of a vast, uncharted forest on the planet Viridia, the trees grew taller than any building humans had ever constructed on Earth. Their thick trunks were covered in green moss that glimmered faintly under the sunlight that filtered through the dense canopy. The forest seemed alive, not just with plants and animals, but with a quiet, almost conscious energy that made any human visitor feel both awe and caution. Elias Marlowe, a young engineer with a sharp mind and steady hands, moved carefully among the undergrowth. His boots sank slightly into the soft, spongy earth, and each step produced a faint crunch that echoed oddly in the stillness of the forest. Elias was no stranger to exploration. He had traveled to remote planets before, repaired alien technology, and mapped environments that no one else had dared to enter. But Viridia was different. Something about the energy in this forest felt older, deeper, and somehow alive in a way he had never felt before. Elias paused to adjust the straps on his backpack. The pack contained tools, sensors, and repair equipment, all of which he might need today. He had come following a signal, a faint energy reading that his ship's sensors had picked up weeks ago. The reading suggested the presence of a relic, an object of unknown origin buried somewhere in this dense wilderness. Few humans had explored this part of the planet, and fewer still had returned with anything meaningful. Yet Elias's curiosity and confidence pushed him onward. As he pushed through a particularly thick patch of ferns, his foot struck something hard. He bent down and brushed the leaves aside, revealing a piece of metal partially covered in moss. It was unlike any metal he had seen before. Its surface shimmered faintly, changing colors as the sunlight hit it. The shape was neither entirely geometric nor organic. It seemed to have grown into its form rather than being manufactured. Elias's pulse quickened. He had found it. Kneeling, he carefully examined the relic. Strange symbols were etched across its surface, lines and curves that seemed to pulse with a faint inner light. He ran his fingers over them, feeling a subtle vibration like the object was humming in response to his touch. He pulled out his portable scanner and began taking readings. The energy signatures were stable but complex, layered in ways he had never encountered before. Curious, he muttered, speaking more to himself than anyone else. His voice sounded loud in the quiet forest. Even the wind seemed to pause as he studied the relic. Elias knew he had to be careful. Alien relics could be dangerous. They could contain automated defense systems, energy fields, or worse, but the scientist in him outweighed his caution. He set his tools around him and began the delicate work of repair. The outer casing of the relic was worn and damaged, with cracks and corrosion that suggested it had lain here for centuries, maybe longer. Elias's hands moved carefully, removing debris and cleaning the surface. He adjusted circuits, replaced corroded connectors, and examined the crystalline core nestled at the center. Every move required patience and precision. One wrong action, and he could permanently disable the relic or worse, trigger a defense mechanism. Hours passed. The sunlight shifted as it moved across the sky, casting long shadows through the trees. Birds occasionally chirped and small animals rustled in the underbrush, but the forest largely remained silent. Elias worked steadily, feeling the thrill of discovery and the pressure of the unknown. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he fitted the last component into place. The relic responded immediately. A soft glow emanated from its core, spreading across its surface in waves. Symbols lit up in sequence, forming a pattern that seemed almost like a language, but not one Elias could read. At least not yet. Then a thin holographic map projected above the relic, hovering in the air like a tiny constellation of lights. Elias's eyes widened in amazement. The map showed the forest from above, but it was more than just the trees. He could see hidden streams, buried structures, and strange formations that no human had mapped before. It was as if the relic contained the knowledge of the planet itself. Elias reached out to touch the hologram, and the lights reacted to his movements, shifting and adjusting with precision. Then, almost imperceptibly at first, a sound came from above. Elias froze. The sound was mechanical, faint but steady. A pulse, a hum, a signal being sent out into space. He looked up and saw nothing at first, but gradually, red lights appeared above the forest far beyond the treetops, moving in precise patterns. Orbiting sensors. He realized with a jolt that the relic had triggered something in orbit. Elias's mind raced. The sensors had likely been dormant for centuries, waiting for a signal or activation. Now they were alive, scanning the forest, analyzing and recording. The realization hit him. His actions had awakened an ancient system, one that monitored this planet long before humans arrived. A mixture of excitement and fear surged through him. This was beyond any mission he had undertaken. The relic was not just a piece of technology, it was a key, and he had just unlocked it. The forest seemed to respond, the energy around him intensifying. The trees rustled even without wind. Shadows moved strangely, and the faint hum of the relic echoed in the air. Elias stepped back, taking a deep breath. He needed to understand what he had activated before moving further. He carefully recorded the relic's energy patterns, symbol sequences, and the holographic map. Every detail mattered. This was knowledge that could change humanity's understanding of alien civilizations and advanced technology. But he also knew he was not alone. If the sensors in orbit had been waiting for activation, it was likely that automated defense systems existed here, ready to respond to intruders. The forest's stillness now felt tense, charged with potential danger. Elias reminded himself of the basics: slow, careful movements, observation, and thinking several steps ahead. His training as an engineer and explorer had prepared him for uncertainty, but nothing could fully prepare a human for awakening an entire planetary monitoring system. He examined the relic one more time. The light pulsed in sync with something unseen, as though communicating with a distant network of machines. Elias felt a thrill at the thought. Humans had always adapted, solved impossible problems, and used their creativity to survive. Here, in the depths of this alien forest, he was about to put that ingenuity to the ultimate test. The sky above began to darken slightly as clouds moved in. Shadows shifted across the forest floor, but Elias's attention remained on the relic. He started making notes, sketches, and recordings, trying to understand the symbols and patterns. Every moment was precious, for the activation might have consequences he could not yet predict. Hours seemed to pass in minutes as he worked. Then a small movement caught his eye, a rustling in the underbrush. Elias tensed. The forest had been quiet all day, almost unnaturally so. Now there was a presence. He did not know if it was animal, machine, or something entirely different. He picked up a small scanner and pointed it toward the movement. The readout was unusual. Metallic signatures moving with deliberate purpose. Drones, perhaps, or automated sentinels. Elias's mind raced. The relic had likely triggered these units, and now they were investigating. But he did not panic. He understood one thing clearly. The human's strength lay in their creativity and adaptability. If these machines were programmed to respond in predictable ways, he could outsmart them. For now, he needed to stay calm, continue analyzing the relic, and prepare for whatever came next. The forest was no longer just a place of discovery. It was a stage, and he was both explorer and participant in an unfolding story that spanned centuries. Every choice mattered. Every movement could have consequences. As night began to fall, the forest transformed. The trees cast long dark shadows, and the glow from the relic illuminated Elias's face with a soft, ethereal light. Above, the orbiting sensors continued their silent, rhythmic scans, unaware of the human below who had awoken them. Elias looked up at the sky, feeling both the weight and the wonder of what he had just done. For the first time, he felt the truth of humanity's potential. Curiosity, courage, and intelligence could unlock mysteries older than the stars themselves. And deep in the forest, with an ancient relic glowing at his feet and orbiting sensors now alive above, Elias Marlowe was about to take the first steps toward a discovery that could change everything. The forest grew quieter as night fell, but Elias Marlowe stayed focused. The relic before him pulsed softly, like a heartbeat in the darkness, its glow reflecting off the moss and leaves around him. The orbiting sensors had activated moments ago, but from this forest floor Elias could not see them clearly. He only sensed their presence in the faint hum of energy in the air. This was no ordinary device. It was a system far older and more advanced than anything humans had built, and he had just triggered it. Elias carefully adjusted his portable lights, placing them around the relic so that he could see every tiny circuit and wire. He examined the crystalline core at the center of the device. It was fractured, but its structure was elegant, almost alive. Tiny streams of energy ran along the circuits like veins, connecting the core to the outer shell. He ran his gloved fingers gently over the surface, feeling the vibrations of energy flowing through it. The relic was not just a machine, it seemed to respond to him. He pulled out a small toolkit from his pack and selected a micro-soldering tool. With steady hands, he began repairing the damaged circuits. Each connection he restored made the relic pulse brighter. He replaced worn-out conductors and adjusted tiny energy channels. The work required patience and precision. One mistake could destabilize the core. Elias's heart beat faster with both excitement and caution. As he worked, he thought about the forest around him. The trees were taller than anything he had seen on Earth, and their leaves shimmered faintly in the light from the relic. Strange vines coiled around trunks glowing with faint bioluminescence. Small creatures, invisible until they moved, watched him from the shadows. Despite the alien surroundings, Elias felt a deep connection to the place. He realized that humans had always explored, adapted, and discovered, even in the harshest environments. That same drive had brought him here, and now it was guiding his hands. Hours passed. The repairs were delicate, and the relic's energy shifted as he worked. At one point, the core flickered violently, sending sparks along the circuits. Elias froze, holding his breath. He carefully recalibrated the energy flow, making small adjustments with his tools. Slowly, the core stabilized. The relic hummed steadily now, a low, constant sound that resonated in his chest. Then something remarkable happened. A thin holographic map appeared above the relic, flickering at first but growing brighter. It showed the forest from above, but not like any map Elias had ever seen. He could see hidden streams, sunken structures, and areas where the trees seemed unnaturally arranged. The map even showed traces of energy moving beneath the ground. The relic was not only a machine, it was a record of the planet itself, its history written in circuits and light. Elias's mind raced. He realized that this relic could reveal secrets humans had never known. Ancient civilizations, energy systems, perhaps even lost knowledge about space travel. All of it could be stored here. He reached out to touch the hologram, and the symbols shifted in response to his fingers. It was as if the relic recognized him, not just as a human but as someone capable of understanding and interacting with it. Suddenly, a faint vibration ran through the forest floor. Elias looked up, noticing that the air above him shimmered slightly. He could sense the orbiting sensors scanning the planet, their red lights moving across the landscape in precise patterns. They were responding to the relic's activation. The thought made him pause. Humans had never controlled a system like this before. He had activated something ancient and powerful, and now it was aware of his presence. Despite the risk, Elias continued his work. He knew that curiosity and courage were humanity's greatest strengths. If the sensors were designed to observe, perhaps they could also communicate. He carefully adjusted the relic's interface, trying to send a small signal. Tiny lights on the device blinked in sequence like a language. He watched the holographic map shift, following the rhythm of his input. It was working. He was learning to speak the relic's language. Hours slipped by as he experimented with the device. The forest grew darker, but the relic's glow illuminated his workspace, casting soft shadows among the trees. Small creatures approached cautiously, drawn by the light. Elias noticed patterns in their behavior. They seemed to respond to the relic's energy, moving closer when it pulsed and retreating when it dimmed. The forest itself seemed alive, connected to the device in ways he could not yet understand. Then, without warning, a sound broke the silence. It was mechanical, precise and deliberate, a movement above the trees far beyond the forest canopy. Elias froze. The orbiting sensors were sending signals now, and something on the ground was responding. From the shadows, sleek metallic drones emerged, moving with silent precision. Their surfaces reflected the soft glow of the relic, and their sensors scanned Elias carefully. Elias's mind raced. He knew that these drones were likely automated defense units, part of the ancient system monitoring the planet. But he did not panic. Humans had always survived by thinking, adapting, and using creativity. He quickly considered his options. The drones seemed to move in predictable patterns, scanning methodically. Perhaps he could use the relic itself to confuse them. He adjusted a small lever on the relic, sending a burst of energy in a different direction. The drones paused, their sensors flickering as they processed the unexpected input. Elias continued, manipulating the relic to create decoy signals, leading the drones away from him. He moved carefully, staying low to the ground, and observed their responses. It was a test of intelligence. his human ingenuity against ancient automated machines. As the drones explored, Elias returned to the Relic's repair. He needed to stabilize it fully before attempting communication. Tiny sparks flew as he made final adjustments, connecting the last circuits and securing the crystalline core. The Relic pulsed brighter than ever, and the holographic map expanded, revealing new details of the forest and hidden structures beneath the surface. He realized that this device was not just a recorder of history, it was a guide, a key to understanding the planet's past and its potential future. Finally, after careful work, Elias completed the repairs. The Relic hummed steadily, its light steady and warm. The drones, confused by the decoy signals, eventually paused and hovered at a distance. Elias exhaled, feeling a mixture of relief and exhilaration. He had succeeded in repairing the device and in the process had learned something profound. Humans could interact with technology in ways no machine could anticipate. Creativity, intuition, and courage were advantages no automated system could fully understand. Elias took a step back and looked at the holographic map. He could see energy patterns moving beneath the forest floor, pathways that led to sunken structures and points of interest marked by the Relic itself. This was more than discovery. It was an invitation. The planet held secrets, knowledge, and possibilities, and now he had the means to explore them safely. He paused, considering the implications. If humans could harness this knowledge, they could unlock technologies, understand ancient civilizations, and perhaps even influence the future of interstellar exploration. But he also understood responsibility. The Relic was powerful and misuse could be dangerous. It needed careful study, respect, and patience. As the night deepened, Elias prepared a small camp near the Relic. He set up sensors, recording devices, and his own personal tools ready for further study. He knew that this was only the beginning. The activation of the orbiting sensors meant that the planet's monitoring system was now aware of him, and possibly of the humans who might arrive later. The forest seemed to hum around him, alive with energy, secrets, and potential. Elias lay down briefly, looking up at the stars through gaps in the canopy. He thought about the journey ahead, the challenges, discoveries, and the test of human ingenuity that awaited him. Deep in the forest, with an ancient relic glowing at his side and orbiting sensors scanning the planet above, he felt a sense of purpose. Humanity had always faced the unknown with curiosity, courage, and creativity. Tonight he had proven that humans could meet even the most ancient and advanced systems on their own terms. And as the first hints of dawn touched the treetops, Elias Marlowe knew that the forest, the relic, and the orbiting sensors were only the start of an adventure that would test humanity's courage, intelligence, and adaptability like never before. The forest was quieter than usual that morning, yet Elias Marlowe felt a strange energy in the air. The relic beside him pulsed with steady light, projecting the holographic map that revealed the forest in ways no human eyes had seen before. The orbiting sensors, now fully awake, swept across the planet, scanning every inch of the landscape. Elias could sense their presence even if he could not see them directly. He stood and brushed the leaves from his jacket, carefully approaching the relic. He had spent the night observing its functions, testing the circuits he had repaired and recording every movement of energy within it. The relic seemed alive in a way that no machine on Earth ever had. Its lights pulsed in patterns that suggested communication, as if it were trying to convey information in a language beyond words. Elias knew he had to understand it. He placed his hands on the crystalline core, feeling a faint vibration run through his fingers. The holographic map above shifted in response, revealing a network of tunnels beneath the forest floor. Strange geometric shapes marked hidden chambers, some small, some large enough to house structures. Elias realized that the relic contained a map of both the surface and underground regions, information that would have taken humans decades to uncover. Then the first direct signal arrived. A thin beam of light traced through the forest, scanning the relic and Elias in a rhythmic pulse. He felt a small vibration in the ground, like a heartbeat resonating from deep beneath the forest floor. The orbiting sensors were communicating, not with words but with energy, light, and movement. Elias understood immediately that the relic had opened a channel to an ancient system that had been waiting for someone to activate it. Elias's pulse quickened. He knew that this was an opportunity unlike any he had ever experienced. Humans had always been explorers, inventors, and problem solvers. Now he was the first human in centuries, maybe millennia, to interact directly with a system of intelligence far older and more advanced than anything known. It was a test of adaptability and courage, traits that humans had in abundance. He adjusted a small lever on the relic, sending a controlled pulse back toward the signal. The light from the orbiting sensors shifted in response, scanning a different area of the forest. Elias realized that he was learning the language of this system. Each pulse of energy, each change in light was a word, a command, or a question. By observing carefully, he could communicate with the sensors indirectly, without triggering defensive measures. The forest around him seemed to react to the exchange. Leaves shivered, small creatures scattered, and the air hummed faintly. The relic pulsed brighter, as if encouraging him to continue. Elias worked carefully, adjusting the energy output and experimenting with small sequences. With each attempt, the holographic map shifted, revealing new details. Hidden chambers filled with technology, ancient tools and artifacts long forgotten. Then a movement caught his eye. From the shadows, sleek metallic drones emerged. They hovered silently, their sensors scanning Elias and the relic. These drones were clearly automated defense units, programmed to respond to activation of the relic. Yet Elias did not panic. Humans had always faced challenges and adapted. The drones moved predictably, their paths and timing regular. Elias smiled faintly. Creativity and intuition were advantages that no machine could anticipate. He quickly manipulated the relic to create small decoy signals, projecting energy pulses in directions away from himself. The drones paused, their sensors flickering, unsure which signal to follow. Elias used the moment to carefully observe their behavior, noting their speed, movement patterns, and scanning methods. Each piece of information was crucial. Humans had survived and thrived in countless dangerous environments by observing, understanding, and responding. This was no different. With the drones momentarily confused, Elias returned to the relic's interface. He had discovered that by adjusting the energy flow, he could communicate more effectively with the orbiting sensors. Small pulses sent through the device created patterns of light above him, which the sensors interpreted as messages. He was not just a passive observer. He was actively interacting with a system that had once been silent for centuries. Hours passed in careful experimentation. Elias discovered that the relic contained not only a map, but also records. Data stored in the patterns of energy, waiting for someone to decode it. He could sense information about past civilizations, technological blueprints, and even energy systems that humans had only dreamed of creating. The possibilities were staggering. Humanity had always sought knowledge, and now Elias held a key to secrets that had survived the ages. Suddenly, the drones shifted in behavior. They were no longer just scanning. They seemed to be responding to his signals. Elias realized that the system was learning, adapting to his presence. The orbiting sensors, the drones, and the relic were now part of an interactive network, and he was its first human participant. The thought sent a thrill through him. Humans had always faced intelligent challenges, and this was the ultimate test of creativity and resilience. He experimented further, sending complex sequences of pulses, creating patterns that reflected human logic and ingenuity. The drones responded by altering their flight paths, avoiding obstacles, and eventually pausing to observe. The orbiting sensors shifted slightly in response, sweeping in broader arcs and then stabilizing. Elias understood that he had established a form of mutual understanding with the system. Humans and machines, working together, could now explore the secrets of the planet safely. As the sun climbed higher, the forest revealed more of its hidden wonders. The holographic map expanded, showing underground tunnels lined with strange metals, chambers filled with artifacts, and areas that seemed to be natural but contained structured arrangements. Elias marveled at the sight. This was a treasure trove of knowledge, waiting for human ingenuity to unlock it fully. He paused to consider the broader implications. If humans could study this relic and the system it activated, they could gain insights into technology, energy systems, and civilization-building techniques far beyond their current understanding. But he also knew that responsibility was key. The system was powerful, and careless actions could have consequences. Elias reminded himself to proceed with patience, respect, and careful observation. A new challenge appeared when one of the drones moved closer, its sensors focusing directly on the relic. Elias adjusted the device quickly, creating a subtle pulse that mimicked a natural energy fluctuation. The drone hesitated, then hovered at a safe distance, its sensors flickering. Elias realized that the system was testing him as much as he was testing it. It was evaluating human intelligence, adaptability, and problem-solving skills. Humans had always excelled when faced with challenges, and now centuries-old technology was witnessing the same qualities firsthand. Hours turned into a full day of interaction. Elias documented every detail, recording patterns, energy sequences, and the responses of both drones and orbiting sensors. Each observation was a piece of the puzzle, a key to understanding the relic fully. The forest seemed alive around him, responding subtly to the energy emitted by the device. Birds and small creatures returned cautiously, drawn by the light and sound of energy that was unlike anything in the natural world. By evening, Elias had achieved a remarkable breakthrough. He could now send controlled pulses through the relic that the orbiting sensors understood as messages. The drones had adapted to recognize his presence as non-threatening, allowing him to move safely among them. The holographic map had revealed most of the immediate forest area, and he had discovered points of interest that promised deeper secrets underground. Humanity had never encountered a challenge like this, but Elias had proven that humans could think, adapt, and interact with systems far older and more advanced than themselves. As night fell, Elias set up a small camp near the relic. He connected sensors and recording devices ready to continue study at first light. The forest was alive with faint bioluminescent plants, glowing softly in response to the relic's energy. Above, the orbiting sensors continued their slow, rhythmic scans, now aware of Elias's presence and intent. The relic pulsed beside him, a steady heartbeat in the darkness, and Elias felt a sense of purpose unlike any he had ever known. He gazed at the stars visible through gaps in the canopy. The orbiting sensors moved silently above, scanning, observing, and communicating. Elias understood that humanity had a rare opportunity to learn, to explore, and to interact with technology that had waited centuries for intelligent minds to awaken it. And as he prepared for the next day of study, he knew that humans with their courage, creativity, and determination were more capable than any machine or system could have anticipated. Deep in the forest, with the relic glowing at his side and orbiting sensors above, Elias Marlowe realized that he was standing at the threshold of discovery. The forest, the relic, and the ancient system had become his partners in exploration. Humanity's ingenuity was being tested, celebrated, and recognized by technology that had existed long before humans even looked to the stars. And the adventure was only just beginning. The forest was alive with quiet energy as Elias Marlowe rose early. The soft glow of the relic illuminated the area around his small camp, casting gentle shadows on the moss-covered ground. He had spent the night reviewing data, recording energy patterns, and observing the orbiting sensors above. The system was no longer just observing him. It was learning. Elias knew the drones and sensors were designed to challenge anyone who interacted with the relic, testing intelligence, patience, and problem-solving skills. Today he intended to push that challenge further. He studied the holographic map projected above the relic. Underground tunnels, hidden chambers, and sunken structures called out to him. The patterns in the forest suggested deliberate planning by a civilization long gone. Elias realized that humans, with their creativity and curiosity, could navigate these systems in ways the original builders may never have anticipated. Intelligence alone was not enough. Humans brought ingenuity and adaptability that machines could not predict. As he moved carefully toward one of the tunnels indicated on the map, a soft hum filled the air. The drones had returned. They hovered silently, sensors glowing, scanning the forest and Elias's every movement. He paused, observing them closely. Their paths were systematic, but they lacked the ability to improvise in real time. This was humanity's advantage. He could anticipate, adapt, and change strategies on the fly, while the drones relied on pre-programmed logic. Elias knelt near the relic and adjusted its energy output. A sequence of pulses sent out faint signals that mimicked natural energy fluctuations in the forest. The drones paused mid-flight, seemingly confused. Elias smiled. The system had not encountered an entity capable of improvisation. He had learned to use the relic not just as a tool for discovery, but as a method to influence the drones' behavior without directly confronting them. He stepped lightly through the forest, Moving toward the nearest hidden chamber indicated on the map, the ground beneath him pulsed faintly with energy, reacting subtly to the relic in his hands. The drones followed at a distance, their scanning patterns irregular now, influenced by the decoy signals Elias created. Every movement required careful thought, yet he felt exhilaration. This was the ultimate test of human ingenuity, to interact with a system far older and more advanced, and to adapt in ways it could not fully predict. Reaching the chamber, Elias crouched at the entrance. It was partially collapsed, covered in vines and thick moss, yet the relic's holographic map revealed that inside were intact structures, mechanisms, panels, and devices untouched for centuries. Elias carefully stepped inside, mindful of every movement. The chamber was cool, and faint light reflected off metal surfaces embedded in stone walls. He could feel the energy flow subtly through the floor, connecting the devices inside to the relic he carried. He began examining the panels, studying the symbols and mapping circuits with his portable scanner. The relic pulsed, reacting to his proximity to the underground system. Elias realized that the energy flows could be adjusted, harnessed, and redirected. This was not just an archive. It was a working network, a system designed to maintain and monitor the planet's history, technology, and natural systems. And now humans could interact with it directly. Suddenly, a movement at the chamber's entrance caught his eye. 2 drones hovered closer, their sensors sweeping across the room. Elias did not panic. Instead, he used the relic to send a subtle energy pulse that projected a decoy in another part of the chamber. The drones diverted immediately, scanning the fake signal while Elias continued his work. The system had underestimated human creativity and adaptability. He was demonstrating that human intelligence could operate beyond pre-programmed logic. Hours passed in careful study. Elias mapped every panel, every mechanism, and every energy conduit he could find. The drones occasionally returned, testing his responses, but he adapted each time. He learned to anticipate their patterns, using the relic to mislead them when necessary. His work revealed more than just technology. It revealed strategy. The original designers had built the system to challenge intruders, yet humans brought a combination of logic, intuition, and improvisation that no machine could fully predict. Elias paused to rest, taking a sip of water. His mind raced with the possibilities. The relic, the drones, and the orbiting sensors were all part of a network waiting for intelligent beings to awaken it. Humans had always relied on curiosity, courage, and problem-solving to survive and thrive. Today, those qualities were proving invaluable. He realized that the system's challenge was not just technical. It was a test of adaptability, creativity, and patience, traits that humans possessed in abundance. Returning to the main panel, Elias adjusted energy flows to stabilize a section of the underground network. A low hum resonated through the chamber, and the drones paused again, sensing the changes. Elias used the moment to activate a holographic projection of the chamber's interior, revealing a complex network of circuits, conduits, and energy nodes. The relic pulsed brightly, reacting to his actions. Humans had not just repaired ancient technology. They had begun to understand and influence it. The forest outside seemed to respond to the activity underground. Leaves rustled without wind. Small creatures watched cautiously, and faint glows appeared in unexpected places. Elias felt a profound connection to the planet. The relic, the drones, and the orbiting sensors were no longer obstacles. They were part of a dynamic system that humans could interact with intelligently, and interaction required thought, observation, and ingenuity. The very traits that had allowed humans to explore and conquer challenges across the galaxy. As evening approached, Elias faced a new challenge. A larger drone entered the chamber, moving faster and more decisively than the others. It was clearly designed to test intruders at a higher level. Elias did not panic. He adjusted the relic's output, creating a series of energy pulses that mimicked the drone's natural patterns. The drone paused, analyzing the signals, while Elias moved quickly to stabilize additional energy nodes. By combining observation, creativity, and careful manipulation of the relic, he was able to redirect the drone away from the sensitive areas he was studying. For the first time, Elias saw the system's full potential. The relic, underground network, drones, and orbiting sensors formed an interconnected structure designed to maintain knowledge, challenge intelligence, and reward ingenuity. Humans, with their unique combination of problem-solving, adaptability, and creativity, could succeed where others could not. He realized that the system had been waiting for beings like humans, beings capable of thinking beyond rules, improvising solutions, and using intelligence in unexpected ways. Night fell over the forest, casting long shadows across the chamber. Elias set up temporary recording equipment and began cataloging his findings. The drones hovered silently outside, observing but not interfering. The relic pulsed steadily, as if approving his progress. Elias knew that humans had demonstrated something unique: the ability to learn quickly, adapt under pressure, and solve complex problems with ingenuity. These qualities were exactly what the ancient system had been designed to evaluate. He looked up at the faint lights of the orbiting sensors visible through small gaps in the forest canopy. Humanity had always reached for the stars, relying on curiosity, intelligence, and determination. Now humans had proven that they could face challenges created by civilizations far older and more advanced, using the same traits that had always defined them. Creativity, courage, and adaptability were more powerful than pre-programmed logic or automated defenses. As he settled for the night, Elias reflected on the events of the day. Humans had faced and outsmarted automated drones, learned to communicate with an ancient network, and begun decoding knowledge that had been dormant for centuries. The forest, relic, and sensors had become a proving ground, and humanity had demonstrated its strength. The adventure was far from over, but Elias knew that humans possessed a unique advantage in the face of intelligence that had long awaited discovery. Deep in the forest, surrounded by ancient technology and orbiting sensors now aware of his presence, Elias Marlowe felt a profound sense of achievement. Humans had always adapted, survived, and thrived in the face of challenges. Today they had proven that even an ancient system of intelligence, designed to test anyone who dared to awaken it, could not fully anticipate human ingenuity. And as the relic pulsed gently beside him, casting its glow across the chamber, Elias knew that the next steps would bring even greater discoveries. The system had been activated, the knowledge of the past had begun to unfold, and humanity's unique abilities had shown that they were ready to meet the universe on their own terms. The forest was alive with quiet energy as the first light of dawn filtered through the tall trees. Elias Marlowe stood beside the relic, examining the holographic map that floated above it. The relic pulsed steadily, its glow warm and rhythmic, and the orbiting sensors above moved in precise arcs, scanning the forest and responding to Elias's presence. Today, he knew, would be the day he fully unlocked the secrets of this ancient system. Elias had spent days repairing, decoding, and learning to communicate with the relic. He had observed the drones, anticipated their movements, and used human ingenuity to interact with technology far older and more advanced than anything humans had ever built. Now the system seemed ready for him to access the deeper knowledge stored within it. The underground chambers, networks of energy conduits, and hidden archives had revealed only a fraction of what remained. He adjusted the relic's core energy output, sending a steady pulse through the circuits. The holographic map expanded, showing not only the forest above but a network of tunnels, chambers, and structures that extended far beyond the area he had explored. Some structures appeared massive, larger than any human building, with energy nodes that hummed faintly. Elias realized that this system was not just a record of the planet. It was a library, a network, and a tool designed to preserve knowledge and monitor life across centuries. As he moved toward one of the largest chambers indicated on the map, the drones appeared again, but this time their behavior was different. They hovered at a distance, observing without interference. Elias understood immediately. The system had recognized his intelligence, adaptability, and creativity. It no longer saw him as a threat. Humans had passed the test, proving that they could interact with ancient technology in ways that no other species could. Entering the chamber, Elias was amazed. The walls were lined with panels covered in symbols, circuits, and crystalline structures. Energy flowed along the conduits in patterns that seemed to tell stories, record histories, and encode technology. He carefully examined a panel and touched a symbol. The relic pulsed, and a sequence of lights formed a holographic display above the panel. Images of a civilization long gone appeared, cities of shining metal, energy networks, and structures that had harnessed power in ways humans had only dreamed of. Elias felt awe. Humanity had always sought knowledge, and here it was, a treasure of wisdom and technology preserved across centuries. The system had been waiting for someone capable of understanding and interacting with it. And humans, with their ingenuity, courage, and adaptability, had proven themselves worthy. He realized that this discovery could change the course of human history, offering insights into energy systems, architecture, and even philosophies of advanced civilizations. He moved deeper into the chamber, exploring the panels and conduits. The drones followed at a respectful distance, their sensors glowing softly but not interfering. Elias adjusted the relic's output, linking its energy to the chamber's network. The room came alive with light, and new holographic displays appeared. Maps of the planet, records of civilizations, and energy schematics were revealed in layers, each one accessible as he manipulated the relic. Elias spent hours decoding the information. He documented every discovery, carefully recording sequences, patterns, and energy flows. The forest above seemed to respond subtly to the activation of the network, faint glows appearing in the trees and along the mossy ground. It was as if the planet itself was celebrating the return of an intelligent presence, capable of understanding and preserving its secrets. Then, as he reached the deepest chamber, the relic pulsed more intensely than ever. A central console, long dormant, activated. Panels slid open, revealing a crystalline core connected to the entire planetary system. Elias understood immediately. This was the heart of the network, the central intelligence that monitored the planet and the orbiting sensors. By accessing it, he could not only learn about the planet's past but also control the system in a safe and responsible way. He approached carefully, aware of the power he now held. The drones observed silently, and the relic pulsed in recognition of his presence. Elias placed his hands on the core, feeling energy flow through him. Data streamed into his mind in patterns of light and vibration. He absorbed information about energy generation, sustainable ecosystems, and the histories of civilizations that had come and gone. It was overwhelming yet exhilarating. Humans had always faced the unknown with courage and curiosity, and now, that same courage allowed Elias to interact with knowledge that had been hidden for centuries. Using the relic as a bridge, Elias transmitted a signal to the orbiting sensors, bringing them under his guidance. The red lights shifted, sweeping across the forest in new patterns. They were now aligned with his intentions, scanning, recording, and protecting the planet while allowing him access to its hidden knowledge. Humans had not only discovered ancient technology, they had learned to interact with it safely and effectively, proving once again that intelligence alone was not enough. Creativity and adaptability were the true keys to mastery. As he explored further, Elias discovered records of energy systems that could power entire cities without pollution, architectural designs that harmonized with natural environments, and devices that enhanced communication and learning. Each discovery was a testament to human potential. Curiosity, ingenuity, and determination could unlock knowledge beyond imagination. The system had been waiting for someone like him, and humanity had risen to the challenge. By midday, Elias had accessed most of the central records. He knew that he could spend years decoding everything fully, but even the partial knowledge he had gained was staggering. The orbiting sensors continued their scans, now coordinated with the forest network, ensuring that the planet remained stable and secure. The drones, once challengers, were now allies, observing and assisting as needed. The relic pulsed steadily, its glow a symbol of the partnership between humans and ancient technology. Elias stepped outside the chamber into the forest. The sun filtered through the canopy, highlighting the shimmering leaves and the soft moss underfoot. The forest, once quiet and mysterious, now felt alive with possibility. Every plant, every small animal, and every shadow seemed to acknowledge the human presence, not as intruders, but as explorers worthy of the knowledge they had awakened. Humanity had faced the unknown, adapted, and succeeded. He looked up at the orbiting sensors above. They were no longer simply machines scanning the planet. They were part of a new network, a system in which humans had proven their value. Elias realized that this moment marked a turning point. Humans could not only explore planets and uncover relics, they could understand, interact with, and even guide advanced systems. The universe was vast, and humans were ready to meet its challenges with intelligence, creativity, and courage. As evening fell, Elias prepared a small camp near the relic. He transmitted his findings to the orbiting human fleet, sending detailed scans, maps, and initial interpretations of the archives. Scientists across the galaxy marveled at the discoveries. Energy systems, architectural designs, and historical records from civilizations that had disappeared long ago. Humanity's potential had been recognized not by words but by action. They had faced the unknown, adapted, and thrived. The forest glowed softly in response to the relic's energy. The drones hovered silently in patrol patterns, and the orbiting sensors moved gracefully across the sky. Elias sat quietly reflecting on the journey. Humans had always been explorers, thinkers, and problem solvers. Now, they had proven that they could rise to the challenge of technology far older and more advanced than themselves. Intelligence, creativity, and courage had once again shown themselves as humanity's greatest tools. As night descended, Elias looked up at the stars through the canopy. The orbiting sensors glimmered faintly like distant satellites, scanning, recording, and safeguarding the planet. The relic pulsed beside him, a heartbeat in the forest, and Elias felt a profound sense of accomplishment. Humans had faced a challenge that tested patience, skill, and ingenuity, and they had succeeded. The adventure was far from over, but humanity had proven its ability to meet the universe on its own terms. Deep in the forest, surrounded by ancient technology, orbiting sensors, and glowing drones, Elias Marlowe understood a fundamental truth. Humans were capable of extraordinary achievements when guided by curiosity, intelligence, and courage. The relic, the forest, and the system it activated were no longer mysteries to fear. They were opportunities to learn, grow, and advance. And as he prepared for the coming days of exploration and discovery, Elias knew that humanity's journey into the stars was only beginning. The relic had awakened the past, and humans, with their creativity and determination, were ready to shape the future. A new horizon awaited, and for the first time humanity had the knowledge, skill, and courage to reach it.